Hey, praise the Lord, everybody. And if y'all can get your seats, we're gonna get ready for our first presentation tonight, dealing with an issue that I guess all of us are waiting to get some information on, and that's the issue of Medicare. And following by that, we're gonna have Social Security and financial wellness. So again, welcome here tonight. Come on, let's give the Lord a hand clap of praise before we get started. Thank God for what he's doing, what he's about to do, and how he's doing it. I'd like to welcome in our Facebook people tonight. Thank you for joining us and being here with us in the third night of the Senior Week. And we got something in store for you tonight. We have 3 presenters that's going to bring you some good information. So we ask you to do, again, as we did all the other 2 nights, get your pen out, get your paper out. If you use computers, start typing, whatever you do. Take some notes, and we will honor what it is that you are doing. And you should be, for church people, our church members, we have a lot of literature here that we're giving out on both of those programs, and we want to make sure if you don't get some tonight, you can get them on Sunday. We have plenty to give out, okay? All right, so I thank God for what we did last night. We had Reverend Grant doing spiritual development. He's a minister that's right here in First Baptist Denby, and he was joined by Dr. Schaaf, who came to talk about some options for depression and anxiety, which was very tough and hard presentation, but we had to get it done. Talked about a lot of different areas of depression and anxiety that a lot of people are going through, especially our seniors, and why they're going through them, and why it's important to talk about it, why it's important for those who are caregivers to understand depression and anxiety in our seniors. I thought it was a wonderful presentation that was done on last night. So just sit back, and let's get ready for first presenter. We're going to have Reverend Petty to come and give us a word of prayer, that he'll pray for our presenters and pray for those who are here. Amen.
Let us look to the Lord. Gracious God, we truly thank you for this beautiful day that you have made. We want to continue to rejoice and be glad in it. We ask, oh God, that you be with us in this service tonight as we learn, Lord, about retirement, about our senior years. We ask, oh God, that you would bless our presenters on tonight, Lord, that we may get some good understanding, some wisdom, and some knowledge, and glean from those things that they have planned for us to hear tonight. Lord, we invite you, the Holy Spirit, to come and be with us. We love you, we praise you, and we honor you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
For your assistance, and we are now going to get started with our first presenter, as soon as I can get a little information on this phone. Let's see. Okay, our first presenter is coming tonight by way of Zoom, and she's going to be doing a presentation on Medicare and some other things she's going to talk about to kind of keep us going. Her name is Lizda Wani. I know I messed her name up, but it's close to pronunciation I can get. So in a few moments, when Chris is ready, we're going to go ahead and bring her in. If she's not ready, we can get somebody else right now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I want to say thank you for having me today, and I really look forward to explaining more about retirement benefits and also Medicare benefits. So we're going to talk about a lot of different topics today, which I'm sure will I mean, it affects everybody, right? It affects everybody. So I think it's a great presentation, of course. So in regards to the Social Security, so my name is Liz, and you did a great job with my name. So my name is Liz. It's Lizna Odwani, which you did a good job with. I'm going to go by Liz. It's a lot easier. And I'm with the Social Security Administration. Now, you're in great hands because I've been there almost 20 years. So I've taken a lot of claims, disability, retirement, Medicare, you name it, I've done it. So you're in really good hands. And I've been in a lot of different offices. I've worked in Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, all over Richmond, Virginia. And now I'm doing public affairs, education, outreach out in the community, as well as helping out with claims for the Tidewater area and other cities around Virginia as well. So definitely wanted to say thank you for having me today, and hopefully you'll find this information resourceful. So as for Social Security offices, right, the biggest question is, when can I walk in? Because you can't just walk in like you used to because of the pandemic. The issue is right now we're trying to figure out spacing. I mean, you're talking about all of the offices in the United States wanting to open at the same time. So, you know, we have a lot of logistics that they're working through for reopening. However, you can still call us. We are available over the phone Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, just like our normal office hours. Also, you can do things online. Right now, we're doing Zoom online with this presentation. So we have a website, ssa.gov, and we definitely encourage everybody to get on that website, create their My Social Security account. We used to send you your statements every year, letting you know how much you've worked and put into Social Security. And this is for anybody over the age of 18. You used to get that statement. Now, because of identity theft, which everybody also deals with those scam calls, we no longer send out those statements, right? Because people steal people's mail, and we see a lot of fraud claims as well. So, you know, definitely want to log on to your My Social Security account, www.ssa.gov/my-account. Check out your statement. If you lost your Social Security card, you know, you could get your card replaced online as well. If you're over the age of 18 and a U.S. citizen, it's free. All you have to do is go under replacement documents, and you can actually go ahead and request your card to come mailed to you at your home. That's great because we're restarting. We're seeing job fairs. Employers want your Social Security number, you know, so they could track down how much you've worked and put into Social Security. So we have that. And again, you could file for many of our benefits online as well. I'm sure you've gotten some publications. Definitely take them, you know, so that it helps you. So, you know, you have these resources available to you. So the next slide is pretty much talking about, we're with you through life's journey. So we're pretty much with you. As soon as a baby is born, they need a Social Security number for identity, right? They didn't have that issue before, but now everything is Social Security number, which is why identity theft is the #1 crime. Now, if you get a crazy call telling you your Social Security number is suspended, just know your number never gets suspended. And we're not in the business of taking your money. We're in the business of paying you retirement, disability, getting your Medicare taken care of. So, you know, we're not. So if you get a crazy call telling you we want a gift card, or we want you to pay us, or your number gets suspended, remember, even after you pass away, loved ones will get survivor benefits off of your Social Security number. If you remember seeing that green and white statement, you'll see a section that says family benefits, survivor benefits. So just know that that's not Social Security calling you. And if you get a call like that, please hang up. Do not engage in a call like that. Now, we do call people. If you've called us and you know you have ongoing business with us, we're going to call you, but we usually also send you a letter as well. So the next slide just reminds you we're with you from day one. And the slide after that is a fun slide. This is a cute slide because this reminds you that we have everybody's names. As soon as the baby is born, we get their Social Security number assigned to them, so we get their name. So if you know somebody in your congregation that's expecting, okay, or if you want to know if your name is a popular name, we actually have all the baby names from the last 100 years. Social Security Security has been around for 86, 87 years now. So we have a lot of names. So if you want to, choose a name for a baby, instead of buying them a baby book, you could actually find things on our website, socialsecurity.gov/baby names. Or you want to see if your name's a popular name, you could do that. And it's even broken down by state. Okay. So definitely it's a fun little way to start this very serious presentation, right? So the next slide is a reminder that we're really with you when you start work, right? When the Social Security number was created so that they could track your earnings. It was created during the Great Depression. FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, passed the Social Security Act during the New Deal. And again, this was 86, 87 years ago now. So pretty much it was a way for people to retire with dignity. Okay, so from your first job to your last job, employers collect your Federal Insurance Contributions Act, your tax withholdings, also known as FICA, that help fund Social Security and Medicare, providing benefits for retirees, the disabled, wounded warriors, and children. So using your Social Security number, we track all of your earnings from the various jobs that you hold throughout your life. So that's why it's important that you track your earnings with the Social Security account now, because again, we don't mail those out to you because of identity theft, okay? So the next slide is what is FICA? So I just mentioned that it is a federal tax. It's called Federal Insurance Contributions Act. And it's a payroll tax deducted from every paycheck you earn. So this is great for everybody, really. Somebody who's starting off work to somebody who is collecting, right? It stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. But on your pay stub, you probably see things like Social Security tax or OASDI or some other type of acronym for it. And the amount that's deducted is 7.65%. Okay, so 7.65% is what's taken away from your check, but then your employer matches it for another 7.65%. So when it's time for you to retire, you actually get credit for over 15%. Okay, now it's a percentage. A lot of times I get people asking me, well, how come my neighbor gets this? How come my friend gets this? Why don't I get more money, right? Well, it all depends on how much you've worked or your family member has worked and put into Social Security, right? So it's a percentage. It's not a dollar amount, okay? Now, out of the 7.65%, 6.2% is your money. Okay, that's what you're getting back. Okay, now the 1.45% that's left over is Medicare. Okay, that's Medicare Part A, and that covers 80% of your hospital bills. So when you get Medicare, you know how there's different parts, A, B, C, D. A is the one that you've worked and put into. You don't have to pay extra for Part A, and it does cover 80% of hospital bills if you're in the hospital for more than 3 days. Okay, so that is what FICA covers. Now, the next slide is just a reminder that people are going back to work, okay? So when people say, oh, Social Security is going to be over, out of sight, out of mind, if you don't see those statements, you're going to think that we're not going to pay Social Security. So it is important to track your earnings every year. Now, I look at my earnings every year. I'm nowhere close to retirement. I wish I was, but I still probably have another 20 some years to go. And if that's the case, then I'm not going to remember what I made in 2021 or 2022. I'm going to have to check it every year to make sure Social Security has my right amounts. Now, about 178 million workers continue to work and pay into Social Security. As we go back to normal, that's the normal amount. About 178 to 180 million people on an annual basis do work and pay into Social Security. And about 94% of all workers are covered under Social Security. So who is the 6%? So we could be talking about federal employees, right? You might have federal employees that don't work into Social Security. They pay into another federal retirement system. That was for federal employees that were working before the 1980s. They paid into civil service retirement system. So that's a different retirement system. Now there's some state employees Now, Virginia employees, if you are a teacher, if you are a police officer, Virginia employees do pay into FICA. But if you are in California and you are a state employee for California or New York or New Jersey, they don't pay into Social Security. So if you're a Virginia employee, not only do you have your VRS for Virginia Retirement System, but you also have Social Security. So Virginia employees are Virginia state employees get both. But if you are another employee from another state, like another state employee, then you don't always work and pay into Social Security. But for the most part, most Americans or most people, they do work and pay into Social Security. Now, the next slide is also another fun slide. It's a statistics slide. So how many people are on Social Security? As you can see, these figures are recent. These are from November of 2021. So about 6 months, less than 6 months ago, 62.2 million people in the United States receive Social Security. Okay, that's a lot of people. In Virginia, that's 1.5 million people. Okay, Supplemental Security Income, SSI benefits, is a program that's based on need. Okay, it could be for children or it could be for adults. It's for anyone who is disabled. If they're under 65 years old and they're disabled, we do a financial screening and they could qualify. If they're under the age of 18, we look at parents' income. So this is a program available for everybody. Okay, so Supplemental Security Income is needs-based. And if you're over 65, then we just look at your income. If you're under 65, then you have to have a disability. And if you're under 18, we look at parents' income. So that's 5.2 million in the United States that receive Supplemental Security Income. In Virginia, we're looking at a little bit over 100,000 people. Okay. And then people who receive a little bit of both. Let's say you paid into Social Security, but not that much. Let's say you have a disability or you're 65 and your Social Security check isn't cutting it. You might qualify for both Social Security and SSI. So people who receive both are about 2.6 million people in the United States. The next slide is a good reminder that we are not bipartisan. We don't discriminate. Anyone who's worked and paid into Social Security should be able to receive Social Security. If you haven't paid into it enough, you're not going to be eligible. Again, we have programs like Supplemental Security Income that do help people get other benefits, right? If possible. But if you have worked and put into Social Security, at least done the minimum 10 years of work, you should be able to get a Social Security check. Okay, it's a pension just like any other pension. It's an insurance. The more you put in, the more you get. Remember FICA, Federal Insurance Contributions Act. Now, the next slide is a fun slide. You don't want to miss your retirement party, right? And we're on Senior Saints Week. So we definitely want to go ahead and make sure we have everything ready for our seniors. Now, the next slide is another resource slide. Now, you won't find this resource on our website, and that's why I like to point it out to you. It is important to check out, if you get a chance, if you can go online, mymoney.gov. Okay, so Social Security always provides a foundation on which to build retirement security. If you're on Social Security, you could have other income. So while planning for retirement, it is important that you know how much of your Social Security benefit is likely to be. Definitely want to track your earnings and your statement through your My Social Security account. Again, that's socialsecurity.gov/my-account. Or if you go to our homepage, you'll see the icon for that. Also consider how much monthly income you're going to receive from your pension and investments. The rest of your pre-retirement income will need to be supplemented by your savings and other income. So to help with your retirement income, you want to visit mymoney.gov. It is free. Okay. This was created with over 20 federal entities that are coordinating and collaborating to strengthen financial capability and increase access to financial services for all Americans. And of course, Social Security is one of those entities. Now, this was created back in 2003. And again, it's just a great website to visit, even if you already have a financial planner who helps you manage your portfolio, because it's going to help you be more informed about financial matters so you can ask better questions to your trusted advisors. This site provides free, reliable, unbiased information on a variety of financial topics. So unlike the investment advice offered by some financial companies, this one is, no one is trying to sell you anything. It is free. It is run by the federal government. So no one is trying to sell you anything. This is for you, and it's great for youth, teachers and educators, researchers. So as you can see, there's something for everybody here. So the next slide, again, more statistics. So as of October of 2021, about 6 months ago, 50 million retired workers were receiving $75.9 billion in Social Security benefits per month. So this is how much money we put back into the economy every month, about $75.9 billion. At the same time, family members, 2.9 million dependents of retired workers were receiving $2.2 billion in monthly Social Security benefits, okay? So again, not only for you, but it's also for your family. It's an insurance, Federal Insurance Contributions Act. Again, there's a section that talks about family benefits and survivor benefits as well, right? So how do you qualify for retirement benefits? So the next slide is you have to pretty much, like I mentioned, work and pay into Social Security. You need 40 credits. That's at least 10 years of work for you to at least get Social Security. Right now, we're talking about retirement. So early retirement is 62. You're 62 years old and you've worked at least 10 years, you're vested to receive Social Security. Now, again, you could track this with your statement, right? Now, let's say you know somebody who's fresh out of college or fresh out of high school or in high school and they're working. Well, how much do you need to make to get a credit, right? So every year this figure changes because in 2020, as you know, if you're receiving Social Security, there's a cost of living increase. And last year was a great cost of living increase at 5.9%. So every year that you receive Social Security, or every year these amounts go up. Okay. But how much do you have to earn to get one credit? You know, I'm talking about 40 credits. How much do you have to make? So every year that you're working to earn your credits, you have to make a certain amount every 3 months. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So every year that you're working, you can earn up to 4 credits. 4 times 10 is 40. So that's how we get your 10 years for your 40 credits, okay? For every 3 months you work, you have to make a certain amount to earn your 1 credit. In 2022, that is $1,510 for those 3 months, not every month. So to get 1 credit for someone who's starting off or someone is going back to work, you have to make at least $1,510 every 3 months to get your 1 credit. Okay. So if you take $1,510 and times it by 4, right, for the year, because there's 4 credits or 4 quarters in a year, you have to make at least $6,040 to get your 4 credits. That's all you have to make for the year to get your 4 credits. Okay. Again, you can earn a maximum of 4 credits per year. So the next slide. So now you know how you're vested. Okay. Now, how do we calculate these checks, right? How come everybody's amounts are so different? Well, it's all based on, again, what you've worked and what you've paid into. But inflation is actually a big deal. Okay. What you've made in 1980 or 1990 is not going to work in 2022. We know that, right? So what we do is you want to make sure that your amounts are correct every year, because that is what we're going to be using to do inflation. Okay, so we take that as well into consideration. And then we also have to look at the highest 35 years. So when we're looking at your entire work history, you could have worked only 10 years. That means you have 25 zeros. So your average is going to be a lot less than somebody who's worked 40 to 50 years, right? Because they're going to have something every year that they've worked. So we look at the highest 35 years of work. Right. And we take into consideration inflation. So if you're coming in 2022, those figures from 1990 or 1995 or even 2000 are going to be adjusted or indexed for inflation. And we'll look at the highest 35 years of the last 40 years of work, or your highest 35 years. Now, if you work less than 35 years, you're going to have some zeros. Okay. Now, the next slide after this explains full retirement age. Okay. So if you remember, 65 used to be the it age. Now, like I said, you could take it as early as 62. Okay. Or you could wait until you're 70, and there's all these years, about 6 years in the middle, 8 years in the middle there that you could kind of see if you want to take it then. Okay. But there's something called full retirement age. So full retirement age, as you're aware, 65 used to be the it age, right? 65, you took your Medicare, you took your Social Security, and you were done, right? Times have changed. If you were born in a certain year, your full retirement age could have changed. Now, what is full retirement age? Let me define that. Full retirement age is the age where you could work and make as much as you like, and it won't affect your checks. If you take your benefits before full retirement age, between 62 and 66, and let's say 4 months or whatever your full retirement age is, there's a limit to how much you can work. Okay. But once you hit full retirement age, you're free to work, make as much as you like, and draw your check. Okay. So that's full retirement age. Another thing with full retirement age is there's no reduction in your benefit. There's no increase in your benefit. Once you hit full retirement age, you're going to get exactly the average, the highest 35 years that you worked in consideration with inflation. So there is no reduction of benefits. There's no increase of benefits if you wait until full retirement age. I always say full age, full benefit, make as much as you like. Okay. So that keep that in mind when you're thinking about age and planning. So if you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is now 66. It used to be 65. Now it's 66. If you were born, of course, before 1943, then your full retirement age is still 65. Okay. Now, if you were born between the years 1955 and 1959, you'll see there's a combination of 66 and 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10 months. Okay. So that's the age where you could work, make as much as you like. Okay. And draw your Social Security check. If you were born after 1960, your full age is 67. So my full age is 67. And I'm sure many of you guys sitting there, your full age is probably 67. So the next slide, as you can see, is a range, a barcode. So a bar graph. So you could take it as early as 62 for a reduction. And if you're working, you can't make as much as you like. Or you could take it at full retirement age. For every month you wait, it does go up, right? And then even after full retirement age, it could go up until 70, until you hit 70, if you wait to take it until 70. So for every year you wait after full retirement age, it can go up to, up to 8% a year. Okay. And at 70, there's no benefit in waiting past 70 because it doesn't go up after 70. So this is your range. Now, again, nobody knows when they're really going to retire, right? COVID happened. A lot of people were forced to retire, right? They might have been 63 in 4 months or 65 in 10 months, So it all depends on when you have to retire, how many months you are away from full retirement age. So it really grows every month you wait, okay? So in this example, we're going to say 66 is this person's full retirement age. At 66, they're going to go ahead and they're going to be due $1,000 a month. Okay, as you see in this example. For every month they wait, you're looking at an 8% increase. So between 66 and 70, you're looking at 4 years, 8% every year they waited. So that's why the last amount at 70 is $1,320 because that's a 32% increase, right? 8 times 4 is 32. Or you could take it early at 62 and you would have, it looks like a 25% decrease. So instead of getting $1,000, you would get $750 a month. So that's what I mean by full retirement age. You could work, make as much as you like, or you could wait, okay? Now, we're not financial planners. We know the Social Security aspect of it, but we don't know what other benefits you have, what other things you have saved up. So we can't advise you when to take it, okay? But we can give you the range. And again, if you go to our website, you'll be able to not only get your statement, but we have planners and calculators. And you could, since everything everything is already housed in there, you could play with it for planning purposes. And, you know, I'm going to retire at 66 in 10 months, or I'm going to retire at 68 in 3 months. How much will I get? You'll be able to get that information. So it's helpful, but you could always give us a call and do it on the phone too. We'll be able to help you on the phone as well. Now, the next slide is your work limitations. As I said, there's a limit to how much you can work if you're under full retirement age, right? So if you're under full retirement age and you want to draw your benefits in 2022, you could make up to $19,560 for the year. And for every $2 you make over that, because that's a limit, we withhold $1 from your check. So let's say you start your benefits in January. From January through December, you could make up to $19,560. Okay. So let's say you've made $20,000. Okay. Because you were working part-time, but you still wanted your check. Okay, so you've made $20,000. From your $20,000, we would subtract the limit, $19,560. And because there's that, for every $2 you make over, we withhold $1. We will take the remainder, divide it by 2. So that's what you would have to pay us back. So if you get this letter from Social Security telling you, hey, you owe us money, probably because you worked, if you were on Social Security and you took it before full retirement age, okay? Now, let's say you want to retire in the middle of the year. Let's say you want to retire in June. You're a teacher, you want to retire in June. So, and you've already made more than the $19,560. Now what? It doesn't matter. You can make whatever you want before you start drawing benefits. Once you start drawing benefits and you're under full retirement age, you have to stay under the limit. So what would happen is we would take that $19,560 and divide it by 12. That tells you per month you could make up to $1,630. So if you want to continue to work part-time, you can, and you could make $1,630 a month before taxes, before anything is cut. So this is your gross before taxes, before anything is cut, and you're looking at $1,630 a month if you take it in the middle of the year. Okay, so the first time you take it, it's not quite in a January month, right? Now, you get a break if you decide to work the year you turn full retirement age. So let's say you turn 66 in August, okay? Or 66 in 4 months, or whatever your full age is in August. So, but you want to go ahead and you started drawing your checks, or you want to start drawing your check in January. So from January through July, you have a higher limit to how much you can make. Now, remember, August is your full retirement age in this example. So after August, you're free to make whatever you want. But from January through July, you're under a limit. Now, that limit is 3 times as much. So the year you turn full retirement age, if you want to continue to work, you can. And that limit is $51,960 in 2022. Okay. And for every $3 you make over, so you get a little bit of a break. For every $3 you make over, we withhold $1 from your check. So this is the year that you're turning full retirement age. The year before, though, you got to stay under that 19,000 limit. For 2022, it's 19,560. So these are your work limitations. Now with Social Security, that's all we're looking at, is if you're working or you're not. That's it. It doesn't matter what your spouse is making. It doesn't matter what their checks are. It doesn't matter if they're working. It doesn't matter if you get a military check. It doesn't matter if you get an unemployment check. It doesn't matter if you get a VA check. None of those other checks matter. It's just if you're working or if you're self-employed. Okay, so because you're saying you're retired, if you're retiring early, you have to be partially retired, right? So that's why you're claiming this check earlier, before than full retirement age. So the next slide is just letting you know that, as you are aware, people are living longer, right? So we can't tell you when to take it, but life expectancy, right? A man reaching 65 today can expect to live an average of 84 years old. A woman turning 65 today can expect to live an average of 86 and a half. And again, these are just averages. We know people are living into their 90s and even their hundreds, right? Which is great. Now, one thing, we cannot tell you how long you're going to live, but people want to know how long they're going to live when they're trying to plan when to take their Social Security check, right? Again, there's no benefit in waiting past 70 because it doesn't grow past 70. But We do have a life expectancy calculator. Okay, now nobody really knows. Okay, only the Lord knows. But there is a life expectancy calculator built in with one of our calculators because a lot of people want to plan, right? And with that, how do we figure that out? Well, what they do is they try to figure out how long, or you would have to state how long your parents lived, and if they passed away with natural causes. So if that's the case, that'll kind of determine how long you'll live. But again, financial planners love this tool. But like I said, nobody really knows, but it's a tool there for planning purposes, because many people do ask us, when should I take my check? And we end up saying, well, how long do you plan on living, right? Because there's a break-even point. If you take it later, how long do you have to live to get the money back that you didn't take, right, earlier? So people do calculate all that in, all right? Now, the next slide is additional benefits. So as of December of 2020, 3 million dependents of retired workers. Dependents could be their spouses, divorced spouses, children, disabled adult children, right? Family benefits. Retired workers were receiving $2.4 billion in Social Security benefits per month. Now, remember, we also pay disability. So at the same time, 1.5 million dependents of disabled workers, spouses, children, disabled adult children, were receiving $580 million in monthly again, Social Security benefits. So the next slide is going to go into family. Okay, so we talked a little bit about you. How do you qualify? How do we calculate your checks? What is the range? What is the work limit, right? So now we're going to go into family. So a child must have a parent. For a child to receive benefits off of their parent's record, their parent has to, number one, work and put into Social Security enough, right? At least 10 years. And a parent has to be receiving benefits. So a parent has worked and put into Social Security and is disabled or retired, all right, and entitled to Social Security because they worked and put into it. So they're working, they're receiving it. A child can't get benefits before their parents get their benefits, right? If you're trying to get it off of your parent has to file, or your parent has passed away. So a parent who died after working, which we saw a lot last year, a lot of doctors passed away. They were working, but because of COVID, we saw a lot of clients that filed because of, a lot of children that filed because of it. So a parent who died after having worked long enough in a job where they did work and pay into Social Security, but they weren't able to collect it because they passed, or if a parent is living, they're collecting it through disability or retirement. But the child has to be unmarried, right? Under age 18. So we're looking at minor children who can get it. 18 to 19 if they're still in high school. So they can still continue to get it if they're in high school full time up until when they turn 19, if they're only in high school, or if they're 18 or older and disabled. So a child who is a disabled adult child that was declared disabled before the age of 22 can collect under a parent's record. Okay, once the parent starts receiving their Social Security, they can say that I do have a child that is maybe getting the Supplemental Security Income benefit, right? Or I have a disabled child who's receiving regular Social Security because they did work and pay into it, but they have to have been deemed disabled before the age of 22 to stay on their parent's record as a disabled adult child benefit, okay? So that's for children. Now we're going to go into spousal benefits, okay? So it's a lot of information, so I'm trying to go through it. Now, spousal benefits, if your spouse is still living, you can get benefits off of their record. So most people think, oh, my spouse has to pass for me to get benefits off of their record, but that's not the case. If you have a spouse that's still living, they can get benefits off of your record, okay? So they can get up to 50%. So this was passed 86 years ago. 86 years ago, the Great Depression, a lot of times you didn't have two people working. You only had one person working. But when it was time to retire, that one Social Security check was supposed to take care of two people. Well, that's not fair. So that's when they passed spousal benefits, okay? So spousal benefits are for spouses that you're still living, so they're still together or they're not together, they're still living though, and they can get benefits off of their record. okay, or each other's record, if your spouse's benefit is less than 50% of your benefit at full retirement age. So if your spouse is going to get 800 and you're going to get 1,000, then there's no spousal benefit. But if your spouse is going to get 300 and you're going to get 1,000, then there's a potential of getting $200 if your spouse waits until their full retirement age, because they can get up to 50%. Okay, so instead of getting $1,300 a month, you could get $1,500 a month, right? So there is a, so it depends on how much your spouse's benefit is going to be as well. Now, of course, if your spouse takes it before full retirement age, there's a reduction. It will not affect the person who they're filing under. So if you're going to get 1,000, your spouse is going to get 200, right? And they can now file for spousal benefits to get an extra 300. You're still going to get your 1,000. Okay, it's not going to affect the person who you're filing off of. You worked and put into it. It's based on what you worked, your age, when you decided to take it. So no one is going to deduct from that. Okay, this is just an extra benefit that's paid to families. So again, the spouse's benefit has to be less than 50%, and you have to, the person that you're filing under, if you're still married to them, okay, you have to wait until they take it. Just like the child, they can't get parents' benefits before the parent takes it, right? So just like a spouse, if your spouse is still, you're both living and you're married, you got to wait until they take it for you to get benefits off of their record. You could take your own benefit, right? You worked and put into Social Security, you could take your own, but to get spousal benefits, you have to wait until they file if you're married. Okay. Again, it will not affect the worker's benefit that you're trying to take from or file from. Okay. And there are certain exceptions to get it a little bit earlier. So the next slide talks about divorced spouses. Okay. So let's say you were married to somebody. For divorced spouses, you have to be married at least 10 years. So you got to do your time. Okay, so you have to have been married at least 10 years, okay? And if you were married to them, you can get benefits from their record, even if they're remarried, even if, they have another family, it doesn't matter. As long as you were married for 10 years and you're single right now, you could qualify as an independently entitled divorced spouse, and you don't have to wait until they file for benefits. You can, as long as they're 62 and they've worked and put into Social Security enough, and their benefit is more than 50% of yours, they won't even know because it won't reduce your benefit. But you, the applicant, you, the person who is filing, has to be unmarried. It doesn't matter if they're remarried, but you have to be unmarried, because if you're married, we now look at your current spouse, right? So you have to be unmarried. You have to be at least 62. Your spouse, your ex-spouse has to be at least 62. And again, their benefit has to be more than 50% of yours, their full age and your full age, which we could figure that out for you. But as long as you were married 10 years and the marriage ended in divorce, okay? But you did your time. You did your 10 years. Even if you were separated half the time, you were still together. You were still legally married 10 years. You're good. Now, the next slide talks about deemed filing. And deemed filing is a situation where in 2016, if you can't come in and say, well, I don't want to take my benefit, I want to take my spouse's benefit first, or I want to take my benefit, but I don't want to take my spouse's benefit. If you're coming in to file for benefits and you turn 62 after 2016, you have to take whatever benefit is available. So if you're going to apply for one, you got to apply for the other. So if you become eligible for Social Security benefits, both as a retiree on your own record and as a spouse, or you can't file under your spouse because you got to wait for them. So maybe a divorced spouse, or maybe your spouse has already filed and you could apply under them if you're still married to them. You have to go ahead and claim your benefits, and you have to file for any benefits that's available to you. So you can't just take one and not the other if you turn 62 after 2016, okay? So the next slides, we're going to go over our survivor benefits, and then we'll go into Medicare. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I'm over my time, but no one is stopping me, so that's nice. I'm hoping you find this interesting. So survivor benefits. when you pass away, your surviving spouse may receive benefits off of your record. So as I said, your number never gets suspended. Even if somebody calls you and tells you, pay me all this money because your number's about to suspend, you could laugh at them and you could hang up, okay? Because you know that your number never gets suspended. It's there forever, even after you pass away. At full retirement age, if you are married to somebody and that person is over their full retirement age, they can get up to 100%. So let's say your benefit was $1,800, okay? And then your spouse, they were getting $1,900. Now your spouse passes away, you're both in your 80s, okay? You could get their $1,900, so you can get an extra $100, okay? So you would receive what they were receiving at the time of death. All right. If you're full retirement age, you can get survivor benefits after 60. You don't have to wait till you're 62. So if you become a widow or a widower at 60, you can apply for surviving benefits. You do have to wait till you're 62 to get benefits off of your own record. So if you want to get benefits off of your own, you have to wait till you're 62. But if you're a widow or a widower, you can take it as early as 60. Now, remember, full age, full benefit, you could make as much as you like. So if you decide to take it early, whether if your spouse is living or not, you cannot work and make as much as you're like. You're under those work limits I mentioned earlier for 2022. But at 60, you could get up to 71.5%. So instead of getting 100%, it would be reduced at 71.5%. You would be locked into that if you take it as early as 60. For every month you wait, it does go up, but there's no benefit in waiting past full retirement age as a spouse or as a widow, because as a spouse, you can get up to 50%. If your spouse is still living, and if you're at full retirement age, you could get up to 100%. Okay. So it does go up to 100% if you started at full retirement age from your spouse's record. Now, the next slide, again, children can qualify for survivor benefits if you have a child that's under the age of 18 or still in high school between the ages of 18 and 19. If they're a disabled child, if you have a child that was declared disabled, so many parents worry, right? What's going to happen to my child after I pass away? If you have a child that has autism or Down syndrome or has a condition, right? So if they were declared disabled prior to the age of 22, they can also continue to get survivor benefits off of your record as a disabled adult child, okay? And then, of course, widows and widowers, as I mentioned, can get benefits as early as 60. If you are a disabled widow, you can take it as early as 50, between 50 and 59. If you have a condition and your spouse has passed away, you can actually qualify for disabled widows benefits as well, as early as 50, between 50 and 59. All right. Or you could wait until you're 60 and take it with the 71.5% reduction. And for every month you wait after, it will continue to grow. So that means you're not touching it up to 100% if you wait until full retirement age. Now, the next slide are other widows benefits that we have. So we have, or survivors benefits. We have the one-time payment lump sum death benefit. If your spouse passed away and they did work and pay into Social Security enough, there is a one-time payment of $255. It's not much. Now it'll probably pay for flowers. But back then it must have been a lot of money. I don't think they've changed it since this was passed. But the lump sum death benefit is payable to a spouse who is married and living together with their spouse who passed away, okay? Married and living together, okay? Or if there was no spouse, it could be paid to minor children or a disabled adult child, okay? Now, this is very rare, but it does happen. Parents' benefits. Parents can get benefits off of their deceased child's record if there is proof that the deceased child was taking care of the parents or providing more than one-half support to their parents. Now, you could have tax returns to show that they claimed the parent as a dependent, right? Or you could have just paper receipts, showing a paper trail receipts showing that they were taking care of you. Maybe, your mortgage or your rent or something. So, electricity and other bills. So again, we have all these links, socialsecurity.gov/survivors as well. But this is also a benefit not many people know about. Now, the next slide is spouse that's living versus a deceased spouse. Okay, so now we're talking about money now, and then we're gonna go over to Medicare. Okay, so spouse that's living can start from 62 all the way up until full retirement age. There is no benefit in waiting past full retirement age, because if your spouse is still living or your ex-spouse is still living, right, you get 50% of full retirement age or less if you start before full retirement age. Okay, so you got to make sure there's no benefit in waiting past full retirement age, because you don't get any delayed retirement credits from a spouse. Okay, and again, full age, full benefit, you can make as much as you like. So if you decide to take benefits from as a spouse or as a divorced spouse prior to full age, there is a reduction in benefits, and you can't work and make as much as you like. Okay, so full age, full benefit, you can make as much as you like, and there's no benefit in waiting past full retirement age, because you could get up to 50%. Now, think about what I talked about when I said a divorced spouse cannot get remarried. If you get remarried, we look at your current spouse. So think about the nursing home, and there's a cute couple in the nursing home, and they're always hanging out, but they're not getting married. Why? Well, because they know if they get married, it could mess with their check, right? Because if they might be getting an extra check because of an ex-spouse or a separated spouse. So that's probably why they're not getting married. So I always say that. Think about that cute couple if you see somebody at a nursing home. Now, survivor benefits can start as early as 60 all the way up until full retirement age. So you can start it as early as 60 as a survivor. You would get 71.5% at 60. It increases every month you wait up to 100% at full age. So you could wait until you turn full age. You could get 100% as the widow, and you could work and make as much as you like. And you can get it started as early as 50 if you are a disabled widow. Now, if you are divorced, you have to show that you were married at least 10 years. So if this is an ex-spouse you're filing, and the other thing with widows, you can get remarried. If you are getting survivor benefits and you meet the love of your life, you can get remarried after 60. If you get married before 60, it does affect the survivor benefit. You do have to wait till after 60 for it not to affect the extra benefit. But if your ex is still living and you get remarried, you lose that extra benefit. Okay. Now the next slide is, of course, you could take it as early as 60 as a widow, and if you want to switch over to yours at 62, you could switch over to yours at 62. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. Now, the next slide, again, full age, full benefit, you could make as much as you like. But just remember, as I mentioned earlier, Social Security was never meant to be your only income. So you may have heard of the three-legged stool or retirement, and these days we like to remind people about investments and other income as well. For the average worker, Social Security is only going to replace up to 40% of your pre-retirement earning. And some people, as you know, only depend on Social Security, right? They don't have anything. So therefore, they're going to need additional income such as pensions and savings and investments and other retirement accounts to have a comfortable retirement. So remember, the Social Security was never meant to be your only source of income when you retire. We encourage you to financially plan. Now, the next slide I also touch base on. We have lots of retirement calculators online. So that's our website, socialsecurity.gov/estimator. We have, your life expectancy. We have when you plan on retiring, you could change that date. We even have your spouse, how much your spouse can get off of your record. So your spouse would have to have their own Social Security set up, or their account set up where they can see how much they would get at full age. If their benefit and your benefit is that there's a 50% difference, you could actually see how much they could get off of your record depending on when they want to file. So we actually have 11 different calculators online, and the next slide is all of our calculators. And this is all public information. So of course we have early or late retirement, benefits for spouses, life expectancy, quick estimator. So we have lots of different calculators there as well. Now the next slide we're going to go over is Medicare. So now we're going to go over the Medicare section, and if we have time, of course, I can answer questions. Medicare, as I mentioned, we have 4 parts, A, B, and most people do C and D. Okay, so Medicare, as I mentioned, through the FICA tax, 7.65% is taxed. 6.2% is your money, which is everything we just went over, right? All of the different benefits. And 1.45% is Medicare Part A. Okay, again, that covers 80% of your hospital bills. You've already prepaid it. So when you apply for Medicare Part A, there shouldn't be another premium involved with it. There shouldn't be another payment with that. Now, Part B does have a premium. That covers 80% of your doctor's bills. So if you see a doctor that takes Medicare, then that's going to be Medicare Part B. And this year, that premium is $170.10. Last year was $148. So it does go up every year. Now, Part C is your other 20%. So if you were military, TRICARE for life, that's your Part C, okay? If you are 65, you get all sorts of things in the mail through Humana, AARP, Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's going to be your other 20%. They're going to want to be your Part C, or Medicare Advantage plan. Now, Part D is prescription drugs. So if you have TRICARE for life, they actually cover you for C and D. But other plans like Humana, AARP, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're going to have a plan for your prescription drugs as well. So C and D is through independent, but A and B is your Medicare through the government. Okay. The next slide talks about eligibility. When are you eligible for Medicare? Of course, most people know this. At 65, you worked and put into Social Security enough, you can get your Medicare. You might want to wait on your Social Security, which is fine, but you can get your Medicare at 65. Now, if you are on regular Social Security disability, let's say you had a car accident at 40, okay, at 42, you're still receiving your Social Security disability, you get your Medicare card in the mail. So you can get it before 65 if you were on Social Security and you were on it for 2 years. On your 25th month, at 24 months, you'll get it. On your 25th month, you should get your card in the mail. Now, you can also get it earlier.
Liz, can you give us like a 5-minute rundown of this? And
yes,
we
yes,
got all the literature you sent, so we'll hand some of that out so they can get.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Right. And you can get it earlier if you're going through kidney dialysis. So kidney dialysis, and this is not only for you, it could also be for your family. Okay, if they haven't worked and put into it, like your spouse, an ex-spouse, a child, so proof of relationship. And then, of course, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. So you could also get it earlier if you were diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, the next slide is the different enrollment periods. So we have initial enrollment period, and that's when you turn 65. So 3 months before you turn 65, the month you turn 65, or 3 months after. Special enrollment period is, let's say you were working and you were insured through your job, you were working and you had insurance through your job, or your spouse, you had insurance through your spouse's job. If you are currently working, current employer, then you don't have to take it at 65. You could wait, and you would apply during your special enrollment period. But if you took it, let's say your spouse, you was a previous employer, right? Then you do need to take it at initial enrollment. So the exception is during special enrollment is only if it was a current employer or a spouse's current employer, you can delay your Medicare past the age of 65. Now, general enrollment period is if you didn't take it at 65 during your initial enrollment period, 3 months before you turn 65, the month of, or 3 months after. And then special enrollment is, of course, you delayed it even more. So because you had insurance through your current employer. If that was not the case, then that's general enrollment, and that is when your penalty comes into play. So there's no penalty if you waited and you had insurance through a current job or your spouse's current job, okay? So the next slide is pretty much talking more about the initial enrollment period, planning on those 7 months. If you take it 1 to 3 months, you would get it at 65. So it kind of gives you a rundown on that. The slide after this talks about Medicare.gov, which lets you know that there is a slide where you could take care of your Medicare account as well. So you would go to Medicare.gov, and they would have information about your claims, insurance, your appeals, all of that. The next slide is talking about extra help. So let's say you know somebody that is low income and they are struggling to pay that Part D prescription drug premium. We do subsidize, if they're low income, we can subsidize people's Medicare Part D cost. So that's important to understand. We do have that program. It's under socialsecurity.gov extra help. The next slide are the forms that you're going to need if you decided to delay your Social Security because you took it later because you were under special enrollment, meaning you had insurance through your current employer or your spouse's current employer, not a previous employer, a current employer. The forms you're going to need in order to show proof of that. The next slide is the Medicare.gov, and the slide after that is the Medicare card, how we changed it. It's no longer your Social Security number, but it's an alphanumeric number because of identity theft. The next slide is letting you know about how to apply for benefits. You could do it online. You could call us. The 1-800 number is 1-800-772-1213, or you could call your local office. The next slide is letting you know about our website. As you can see under socialsecurity.gov, you can go into retirement, disability. We also have Medicare and SSI as well. And we have our calculators and our estimators and how to create your account. The next slide is letting you know how to create your account. So that URL is there, ssa.gov/myaccount. And the slide after that is if you're on benefits, why should you have an account? Well, you can update your address, your phone number, your direct deposit, get your 1099, get your proof of income letter, get your Social Security card replaced if you need that, get your Medicare card replaced if you need that. So it's great. You don't have to, call us or walk into an office or mail anything in because you could take care of a lot of those transactions online. And the slide after that is if you're not on benefits yet, you can see your statement online. You can request your Social Security card online still. If you're over the age of 18, a U.S. citizen, you just need a replacement card. You want to know the status of your application, and again, you could file for a lot of your benefits online, and you can do a lot of the planning tools, right? Now, the next slide after this is just instructions on how to create your account. The slide after that is our social media. We're all over. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're all over the place. And this last slide is I'm your public relations person. I do education and outreach, so that's what we do. And hopefully I was able to give you a nice rundown of all of our benefits. And again, if you want me back, let me know. I'll be more than happy to cover anything else that you have questions on. So thank you so much for having me tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Let's give her a hand for doing such a yeoman's work. Really appreciate you being here with us tonight and sharing all that important information. And thank you for all the handouts. For those, before you leave tonight, we have plenty of handouts in the lobby on the table. You can take as much stuff as you want. So thanks again, Liz. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll be in contact. All right, we're going to continue on with two individuals here who are going to take us further into some more discussions of Medicare and Social Security. Medicaid. This is Medicaid. All right, so we have with us, as I do the introduction, we have Denise Spivey, Newport News resident. She's been employed with the City of Newport News, with the Department of Human Services. She's a senior, senior worker in the long-term care unit, and she has over 20 years of experience serving the citizens of Newport News. Received a bachelor's degree in education from Hampton University. Debbie Day is a benefits program supervisor with the City of Newport News and the Department of Human Services, which also is a long-term care unit. She has a master's degree in evangelism. She can preach from Liberty University, and a bachelor's degree in psychology, minored in sociology from St. Leo University. And she's been employed with Human Services for over 13 years. Let's give them a hand as they come. And y'all come up right at the podium here, and we'll get to start that. And they have their time, and certainly we'll be asking questions. If we had any questions on the internet, anybody got, let me know.
Like this? Oh, okay. Is somebody going to put the presentation on the slide up?
Yeah, got the slides, Chris? Okay.
And I guess I just say next slide when I'm ready for next slide?
Yep, you ready to do it?
Okay, y'all, you know my slides is behind me, so I might look back a little bit.
You need to hold the mic so the audience, Facebook audience can hear you.
So, I'm telling you. So, I don't know if I have mine on. You said push it one time, that's mute. Okay. Oh, there I am. So, I'll just say this. Please be kind to Miss Spivey. She's got the willies and we've been working all day, but she is very, very knowledgeable about the topic. And so we are going to encourage her. We're going to continue to pray silently that she will bring forth the information to you all and that any nervousness that she has will be ceased in the name of Jesus. She's going to give us what we need. We're ready whenever you all have the presentation available.
All right. As soon as they're ready, I'm ready. And thank y'all for being my guinea pigs. All right. All right. A brief description of what our presentation is going to be about is the different type of Medicaids that you may qualify for and the process for applying for Medicaid and the information required to determine your eligibility for Medicaid. Okay, you can go on to the next slide. The Virginia Department of Social Services mission is to design and deliver high-quality human services that help Virginians achieve safety, independence, and overall well-being for their health. You can go on to the next slide, please. There are several ways to apply for Medicaid. You can apply for Medicaid by submitting a paper application. The paper application could be provided by picking it up at the agency, and we can also mail you the application if you wish. We also have an online service that you can apply through commonhelp.virginia.gov. We also have a call center that you can call, and that's very helpful for the elderly population or people with no cell phones or internet access. They can call 1-855-242-8282 to apply for Medicaid online by phone. You can also apply for SNAP and TANF benefits by contacting the Young Williams Call Center at 1-855-635-4370. All right, you can go to the next slide. Beginning July 1st, the state of Virginia made it easier for Medicaid recipients to receive information about their case, get questions answered about their case, and they can be directed to Medicaid member helplines for things that your worker may or may cannot answer for you, that they can answer. The number for that is 833-522-5582. And again, that's the Virginia Department of Social Services Medicaid Helpline. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. When evaluating eligibility for Medicaid, we look at non-financial and we look at financial information in order to determine your eligibility. Some of the non-financial eligibility things we look at is your citizenship, your alien requirements. We look at Virginia residency. You have to have a Social Security number or apply for Social Security number. We look at the application for other benefits, and that's other benefits that you may be entitled to, like Social Security benefits, railroad and retirement benefits, and Virginia pension benefits that you may not be receiving that you're entitled to. We also look at institutional status. Institutional status means that when someone is in the need of nursing facility care or they need in-home care with the help with feeding, bathing, and other things that's needed in a home that they may qualify for. Some of the financial eligibility we look at is all of earned income. We look at employment, self-employment. We look at wages from small businesses. We look at Social Security income, child support, spousal support, pensions, retirement accounts, unemployment, anything that is income to your household we look at. You can go to the next slide.
Can you go back one slide? Oh, sorry. Right here, can we stay right here? Even though we do look at these items for financial eligibility, it may or may not count towards you. We'll ask you to provide it, but just because you provide it does not mean it will count against you.
Thank you. All right, next slide, please. All right. Medicaid has low-cost and no-cost Medicaid. That's full Medicaid for some family and children and adults that may qualify for it. Some of those programs include Famous, Famous Plus, Famous Mom, low-income families with children, Medicaid expansion, breast and cervical cancer prevention, Plan First, and long-term care services and support. Famous Plus, Famous Moms, and Medicaid expansion, they all are full covered groups which pay transportation and all other needs concerning medical needs. Plan First is a limited coverage. That covered group only covers yearly physical exams for family planning like birth control. It covers education and family counseling. It covers sterilization, and it covers transportation to family planning services only. So that's a limited cover group, but all the other ones are full that I mentioned. Breast and cervical cancer applicants, they're between the ages of 18 and 64. They've already must be screened and certified as needing the treatment for breast cancer and cervical cancer by a medical provider that's operating under Every Woman's Life. Also, the Medicaid expansion program, that's a program that was one of my favorite. It caters to individuals that are between the ages of 19 and 64. You don't have to be married, you don't have to have children, or you can have children. Or you could be a caregiver of children or grandchildren that you are legally responsible for. If you meet the income limits, you could be eligible for full Medicaid. And that's something that we didn't have before a couple of years ago. So I think that's great. Long-term care services, or long-term care services and support, that's the unit that I work in and I cater to. That is for people that is in need of nursing facility care, and it could be an adult and it could be a child. And also, or they're in need of in-home care. Someone to come into the home, help bathe them, help feed them, and do other things that they need to cater to their care that they need. So if they qualify for that, that's full Medicaid as well. Okay, next slide, please. There are different types of Medicaid for age-blind and disabled recipients. When I talk about age-blind or disabled, these are our recipients that are over age, well, that's 60 or over. Or, is 65? Okay, the 65 or over for Medicaid. For SNAP is 60 or over. But for Medicaid, it's 65 or over, or they are disabled, or both. They can qualify for full covered groups, which include full coverage Medicaid. That includes transportation also, to and from appointments or whatever. They can also qualify for limited coverage, which can cover their co-payments, their premiums, deductibles, or Medicare premiums. So that's a good program because if you qualify financially and resource-wise, they could pay your Medicare premium for you so you can get your full amount of your check. So that's more money to your household. Okay, next slide, please.
Hold on, before we go,
Okay.
I want to just go a little bit further into the Medicaid Works. So the Medicaid Works, it will allow you to keep your Social Security check and to work. So you'll basically be able to earn more income, and then it'll also allow you to have more in savings. So the presentation before was talking about planning for your retirement. So if you are interested in the Medicaid Works, that will benefit you because you can earn more money and save more money, unlike the other programs that are up there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next slide. Right here is our age, blind, and disabled. These are different cover groups and the income limits for these age, blind, and disabled recipients. The income groups that we have up there, are we on the right slide? Okay,
Is there a slide before that about the income?
hold on a second. And this is out of order. Y'all give me a second.
That's all right, you know that.
That's fine. Yes, it's a slide that's out of order. So I'm going to still cover this part, but it's not up there right now, okay? Okay. Okay. What we see right here is countable resources for the age, blind, and disabled individuals. The rule of thumb is anything that can be liquidated into income is countable. What we look at as far as resources is cash. We look at financial accounts, which is bank accounts, what's available in it, your stocks, your bonds, trust funds. We look at annuities, CD, money markets, IRAs. We look at your life insurance, and that's the cash value of your life insurance. We look at burial arrangements, real property, personal property, so that's cars, houses, land. We look at trusts, contracts, promissory notes, and there's some other things that may not be mentioned up here that we do look at. But like we said, depending on your situation, some things may be exempt and we're not looking at it, and some things we are, depending on your situation.
I'll just add right there, the young lady who spoke before about Social Security talked about planning for your retirement. So we want you to plan for your retirement. And so some of us, our seasoned saints may have a nice little nest egg. We've got a little something, something put away here and a little something, something put away there. We want to make sure that little something, something goes down to our children and our grandchildren and so forth. If that is you, we want you to keep your little something, something. So we encourage you to go to an estate planner. Not to say that we're telling you to hide it, but there are ways that you can keep it. And so a lot of our population, especially the African-American demographic, we don't know that because we have, the fact of the matter is the Medicaid policy is written for the rich. So you could be a person that worked all your life and you scrimped and you saved to get your $5,000 in the bank, and we'll tell you it doesn't, it'll make you ineligible. But it really doesn't make you ineligible. There are ways around it. And if you contact the agency when you apply, one of our workers will certainly assist you to not tell you what to do, but we'll tell you what you can do. So if you got a nice little piece of change, please contact an estate planner and get your things in order.
Yes.
Early on, because we look back 5 years.
All is not lost. I always tell my clients that don't qualify what you need to do to help yourself. That's legal and within the boundaries that you can do. All right, next slide. Oh, we're on it, all right. Okay. Long-term services support is a service that Medicaid provides care for people that are in chronic hospitals, people that could be in a center for intellectual disabilities, institutions for mental diseases, intermediate care facilities, nursing facilities, rehab in the hospitals. So long-term care services caters to a lot of different type of facilities that are considered long-term. We also cater to community-based care services. These are services that is provided in the home. If you need someone to, like I said before, bathe you, feed you, help you get dressed, do a little bit of light house cleaning related to your needs, it can do those things. We also have a program for all-inclusive care called PACE, that's for the elderly. This is one of my favorite. It's, to me, like an adult daycare center. So if you have somebody that you know that qualifies for long-term care recipients that still live in the community, we have a place called PACE that they can participate in, and it offers doctors, recreational therapy, nursing services, meals, and other services throughout the day, and you drop them off or they can pick you up. And it's located right here on Oriana Drive in Newport News. It's right over there by the food line. So it's a nice place. With the in-home care services that a lot of people don't know, you can get, or it has to be, an approved agency through Medicaid to come provide the care for your family member or yourself, or you can also get care by a family member or a friend, and they get paid by Medicaid for caring for you if they qualify and meet the requirements for the program that's under Consumer Direct Services that we offer. And a lot of people ask us about that, if it could be a family or a loved one to take care of them and get paid. And the answer is yes. Next slide, okay. Long-term care services and support requirements. One of the requirements is that you have to be screened by the hospital, Adult Protective Services, or your local health department. So that's the first part of it, but it really has two entities, because the screening is for the physical assessment to say that you meet the need, but you still have to qualify for the Medicaid for it as well. The countable resources cannot exceed $2,000. So all those things I talked about, we count and look at as resources that's in your bank account, and the cash value to your life insurances, and all of those things, an accumulation of that together, we look at if it accumulates to $2,000. And again, some things we may not be looking at and may be exempt, depending on your situation. Let me see. If you are approved for the long-term services and support, you may have a co-payment for that, or what we call a patient pay responsibility for that. And I'll go into that in the next slide. But if anybody that's living in Newport News, the contact number, if you need a screening to see if you physically meet that need, that's going to be 926-6329. And if you don't utilize that number, you can also contact the health department. And if you're not in Newport News, contact the one to your local, to wherever you live at. Okay, the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about the personal need allowance for nursing facility. And again, this is for long-term care services and support. And this is if somebody needs nursing facility or if somebody needs community-based care. So if you are in a nursing facility, you are allowed to keep $40. That's your personal need allowance. This allowance is what they say you're able to keep out of your gross income. So if you're a nursing facility, all of your income goes to the nursing facility, and you get to keep $40 for your little cell phone bill, for to get your hair cut, for to get your snacks, because the nursing facility is providing everything else for you. They're providing your roof, your utilities, they're providing everything for you. So your income goes to the nursing facility. If you have a patient pay, that depends on your income and everything and other circumstances, and then you get to keep your $40. Yes, that's not much. If you are in community-based care, if you are receiving care in your home, your personal need allowance is $13.88. That means the state says whatever income you make, you get to keep $13.88 for your bills and your necessities in the home, and the remaining of that that's over that amount is what your patient pay responsibility is to that provider. So if I get Hope and Home coming to my house, I get to keep $1,388 of my money. So if I make $2,000, the difference is going to them. But the company is collecting the difference from Medicaid. So you see they're not paying the full amount. The recipient is paying their patient pay responsibility, and then the company is going to recoup the difference from Medicaid to get paid. So a lot of people say, but that's so much, but they don't understand. Just like if you're in a nursing facility, your patient pay responsibility might be $220, but the state is paying the other $6,000. They're paying the difference. Okay, next slide. Some of the allowable long-term care deductions that can lessen your patient pay is things like guardian fees if you have them, Medicare Part B premiums, other health care insurances that you still have from your employment that you still want to keep, outstanding medical bills that you owe. It could be rent, mortgage, real estate taxes, homeowners insurance, or utilities. So these things are things that can lessen your patient pay responsibility. For example, let's say you're in rehab at James River Convalescent. You still got your apartment, you still got your house. You only in there temporarily for rehab for less than a certain amount of time. So your patient pay can be lessened based on you having other needs and you returning back to the home because you intend to return back home. You're not there forever. So it's just a temporary thing. So it depends on everybody's situation and everybody's circumstance. Not everything fits everybody. Okay. Next slide. Okay, the Commonwealth Coordinated Care Plus program is a program that's designed to assist you with obtaining the best care specific to your needs. This is when you qualify for Medicaid and you have the Medicaid, they're going to give you a coordinated care provider that's going to cater to your needs. These people are the people that you will contact to ask questions about your health. They can help you make a written plan for your health goals. They can help you make doctor's appointments. They can help you schedule your transportation. They can pre-approve some of your referrals for you. They can help you access community and social services in reference to other needs that you may need. So it's basically a healthcare team that caters to your needs specifically, because everybody's needs are different. Next slide, please. The Commonwealth Coordinated Care Plan, which we call the CC Plus, these are, I'm sure that y'all familiar with some of these names. These are the managed organization care programs. It's Aetna, it's Anthem, it's Magellan, Optima, United Healthcare, and Virginia Premier. They all work along with Medicaid, so we all work together. But these people work with your care plan when we work with your eligibility for Medicaid, more like. Okay, next slide. All right. So we're at the end. That was short and sweet. We have provided you the website for the Department of Social Services for the manual for Medicaid. If you need to use it or look at it or have any information. I hope that the information today that I provided you, you've learned something from it, or you can tell somebody else about it. And if you have any questions, we're open. And I do want to say one thing that I forgot. If y'all ever want to apply for Medicaid, The process time is 45 days, so when you submit an application, we have to make a decision within 45 days of you applying. And you'll know who your worker and contact information or person is, because once you submit your application, we will send you a checklist of what we need. If we need income, if we need to verify your resources, we're gonna let you know what we need from you. And that information will have your contact number and your contact person that you need to speak with. Okay, is there anything else you want to say, Miss Debbie Day?
I think you did excellent. Let's give her a hand. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't seem that nervous. Are there any questions from anyone in the audience? Ruth, this one.
Yes, ma'am. You have to have yes, you have to be on Medicaid and approved for Medicaid.
There's another hand somewhere. Right here. We'll repeat it once you give it out.
Yeah, come and help me, Miss Debbie Day.
She wants to know the age that you have to be to apply for Medicaid.
Well, if you are a young person, if you're not living with your parents and you're 18 and over, you can apply on your own. If you're 18 and over and not living with your parents. You could be, what was that? For Medicaid, yes, ma'am, because we have some teenagers that's no longer living with their parents. They out on their own, and they can apply on their own.
The only thing about that, if they are living at home with their parents and they are 21, they are considered a Medicaid minor. That's the only thing about that. So we'll look at their income till they're 19. A Medicaid minor.
It's a Medicaid minor. SNAP benefits, you have to be 22 or over the age 21. You have to be over the age of 21. You got to be 22 or over to apply for benefits on your own if you are still living with your parent or apart from your parent. So actually, you can still live with your parent, but you have to be 22 or over to apply as your separate household in your parent's house.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you. Come on, let's give them another hand. And thank you so much, Ms. Day. Thank you for your presentation, and Ms. Spivey. We now have the grand finale, as we want to say. And Mr. Joseph has been sitting there all patient. And he's back from his South Carolina visitation of his family down south. And now he's back up north. And he was here with us last year, and he'll come now to talk about some financial wellness for seniors. And some of the retirement things we just talked about, he probably will discuss some of those as well. Tim Joseph is a man of God, first of all. He's married, and he and his wife, Marva Griffin, have 2 children. He comes from Darlington, North Carolina. Anybody know what Darlington is known for? It used to be? What is it? Racetrack. Who said that? Is it Darlington, right? Yeah, Darlington Racetrack, yeah. I knew that because we got a small town I come from, got one too, South Boston. Speedway. Yeah, I used to drive on that track. No, I don't believe that. Don't believe that. And so he's a retired military officer who served in the military for over 20 years. Currently a financial advisor for First Command Financial Services. He's been with First Command for over 21 years. Y'all get that? 20 years in the military and 21 years in the secular world. Tim is not here to sell you anything, but to make you smarter and wiser concerning financial wellness. Amen? Come on, let's give him a hand as he comes.
Hey, Chris, you have 2, I gave you 2 documents. Are you able to go between the 2 documents easily, or do you need me to guide you through it? Okay, now go to the other one. And if not, no problem. We'll just stay right there. Okay, that's the other one, but just go back to the original one, because that's too small, and it's almost 9 o'clock, so we got to make it happen here. Okay, so far, show of hands, how many people in here, by a show of hands, who is currently drawing Social Security benefits? Who? Let's see. Let's get them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I would say about half of the people. Now, I don't know about you. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. 40 years in the workforce. But the first presentation was so full of information that you can make a mistake that will cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime if you make the wrong decision. So what I would submit to you is that if you don't have anyone that you can trust enough to speak about Social Security benefits prior to you drawing those, you best find someone. Because if you don't, Uncle Sam is going to love you forever, because you're going to miss out on, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars of benefits. And the last thing I'll say about Liz's presentation, which was the first one, it was so much information over a short amount of time, but every page that she had is critical. It is absolutely critical. So please, 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 and those that are taking Social Security, please use your experience and help those that have not yet done that, because if you don't, you will be doing them a disservice. That's the first thing. Now, the other thing is, and again, I appreciate the beautiful women from Medicaid, and I'm in the financial world, and so I can somewhat support. I say somewhat, not all the way, but I can somewhat support what you're saying, because yes, the difference between people that take advantage of government benefits and those that don't take advantage of government benefits is that they have a smart professional who can help them navigate through the processes. Because you can get it done if you know the right people or talk to the right experts, because it does require some assistance. And if you don't like paying for someone to give you advice that will make you tens of thousands of dollars, then don't. You lose out. So having a professional does not cost you anything. And sometimes, in most cases, it pays you to have one. Because again, you can glean so much and be so much better off than having not used it. All right, so again, one last thing. 60 million people are drawing some sort of Social Security benefits. There are only 300 million people in the United States. So 20% of all Americans are drawing some kind of Social Security benefit. So what I said, and the reason why I'm here tonight, is to talk about another very, very popular topic, and that topic is going to be income taxes. So, Chris, go to the next slide. So let's talk about taxes. This is going to be short and sweet, but let's talk about it for a second. Right now, anybody who has been alive and paying taxes over 50 years will attest to the fact that this is the best tax situation we've seen in over 40 years in terms of rates, in terms of amounts. So I have a prize here. Who can tell me the difference between your tax bracket and your effective tax rate? And Linwood, right? And actually, you can't answer the question because you already know. Who can tell me the difference between your tax bracket and your effective tax rate? Okay, you get two of them, not just one or two. That's a great answer. Because again, don't complain about taxes now. You wait until a few more years. In fact, we'll get to that in a second. But this is good. So there are a lot of good financial benefits and decisions based on the current nature of taxes. And what I have on the slide speaks to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Who put that in place? What was the president that put those in place? What was his name? What was his name? Who put that in place? Trump. Of course, Trump. So I tell all my clients, hey, if we can't say one good thing about Trump, this is something good we can say about him because, hey, he came in and did it. Now, the impact is very serious because now services like Medicaid and those things were cut in order to make way for this thing. And so now, as I stand up here tonight saying that, hey, guess what? You best know your tax situation because taxes are going to go up. They are going to go up because we can't pay for the cuts from this law. We can't pay for all of the COVID stimulus that happened over the last 2 years. We can't pay for sending millions and millions of dollars to Ukraine in the last couple of, and not raise taxes. If we don't raise taxes, then what can we do? The only other thing is what? Cut benefits. Because again, that's just, there's no other way. So enjoy it now. You have about 3 years. At the end of December of 2025, these rates go away, and the slide that I had Chris put up, and it's very small, it's a tax table. And in the tax table, we're in tax season. When is the tax filing deadline? 18 April. Everybody know that stuff, man. That's good. And so, and I have folks come in all the time. They are, they all hyped up and so forth. But the thing about taxes, if you owe taxes, if you owe money based on filing your tax return, it's simply a matter of your income, the amount of income that you made doesn't support the amount of taxes that the government says you have to pay based on what your bracket is. And so one of the things that I enjoy helping folks with is understanding the numbers. Because if you understand the numbers of the tax brackets, then there's no argument whether you owe money or get money back and all that kind of stuff. It's just a matter of numbers. You have to know the numbers. You have to know what your income is, what income is taxable, and certainly knowing your deductions. So, hey, Chris, go to the next slide, please, sir. Okay, so here's some key numbers for this year. What you're doing now, if you are filing taxes or so forth, you're dealing with numbers from last year. These are this year numbers. And so, the first block there, ordinary income tax rates, 12, 10, 12, 24, 32, 35, and 37. Those are, again, a lot, they're a little bit less than they were prior to the law being changed. But the law says that after 2025, the rates go back to the higher rates that was in before, meaning that your income, if you make a smaller amount of income, you may be paying more taxes now when you're making more income. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so there's a lot of, concern about, when under the current administration, whether they would change it prior to 2025. If you recall a term called Build Back Better, that was something that was going on where Build Back Better said, hey, we got to address some of this stuff. Well, guess what? What happened to Build Back Better? Did that get passed? Nope. So did any of this get changed? Nope. So it's where it is. And so one of the biggest things on the third bullet is the change in the standard deduction. Well, we saw that formerly a lot of the deductions that we were able to claim, you could no longer claim if you couldn't surpass the standard deduction. And so that was good. That's been good and bad in some cases, but again, and every year that goes up a little bit until that law expires. IRA contributions, I put that in because how many people are still working, putting money in 401ks, IRAs? Okay. And so those numbers, anybody know what the maximum amount that you can put into a 401k this year, the total dollar amount? If you are under 50 years old, you can put up to $20,500 a year in your 401. And if you're over 50, it's $27,000. And so that number is significant. The IRA number, 6,000, 7,000, that's not significant at all. You can't, and so take away from this slide, again, those of you that been there, done that, IRAs, Roth IRA, that's the point, Roth, tax-free, which is another whole discussion, but I digress. Chris, go to the next slide, please, sir. So, risk of higher taxes, we just talked through this. And hey, take advantage of it now. One thing now I can tell you, I'm on camera, and so I'll just say this. When the Ukraine thing happened, what happened to the stock market? Went down. Why did it go down? Why did the stock market go down? Say it again? Well, see, I couldn't tell you. I'm a financial advisor for 21 years. I have no idea why it went down because, that's correct. Because, hey, did Amazon still work? Did McDonald's stay open in the States? I mean, hey, and so stuff happened. And so what I'm urging, folks to consider is this is a great time to take advantage of a down market by going in and sitting down with your trusted advisor and speaking about how you can benefit from the downturn. Because, again, somebody is always making money no matter what happens. And the difference between those that don't make money and those that do is that they pay for the help and expertise to help them to navigate those situations. All right, next slide, Chris. So Roth conversion, I said that already, Roth. So in fact, I didn't say that, I said Roth, but there's a thing called a Roth conversion. Not to go into too much detail, but if you are a senior and you are a senior that has a old IRA or old 401k or old kind of pension plan that you need to use to maintain your standard of living, well, the deal that the government makes is that if you put money in those things when you were working, it lowered your taxes then. But then you get on the other end, now you got 300, 400, 500, whatever in there, and now the IRS is saying, hey, we are your partner. We're going to get at least 25% to, in some cases, 40% of that is ours. And oh, by the way, what about Governor Youngkin? He got to get his part too. That's another almost 6%. So Roth, we got to talk about that, and because of the current situation in the market, it's a great time to talk about, well, maybe should I be converting some of those dollars that I owe taxes on later to Roth now. Next slide, please. And so now, of course, the church is going to appreciate this, and that's why I put this in here. If you are over the age of 70 and you do have assets and you're giving money to any sort of a charity, the church, whatever your charity is, if you speak with your provider and tell your, whoever the organization that handles your finances, your accounts, to take those dollars that you're giving to charity and send those dollars directly from your account to that charity, how much taxes do you have to pay on that? Anybody? Zero. Because why? You made a charitable, it's a qualified charitable distribution. You still do the thing and give to your charity. You reduce the amount of money in your taxable account, and so everybody's happy. And so, you know, that's a big thing. So if you're not doing QCDs or whatever, why not? Maybe you don't have a good, strong, smart financial professional that can help you. If you need that, then hey, there's plenty of them around. All right, next slide. So in summary, how much was that? That wasn't too long. All right, so in summary, know your tax status. If you don't know your tax status, find somebody who can help you, because there are plenty of people that can. You know, and expect that taxes are going to go up, because they have to. Otherwise, you know, we can't enjoy the great life that we live in the Commonwealth, as well as the United States. And again, use the laws. Everybody use them. They apply to everyone. Make sure that you are in line with somebody who can help you take advantage of those. So with that, what questions can I answer? Great. Oh, yes, I got a question.
Can we get the mic out for people? We're going to have you repeat that on the mic.
Okay,
Go ahead, that's the
we're
question on the
talking,
record.
okay. How do you see the difference in investing in the real estate market versus a Roth IRA?
Okay, and I will answer that, because a real estate investment that's a broad area. And so what I'll say to that is, if we're talking about taxes, then it's a matter of registration of that property and administration, if we're talking taxes, because most people, maybe perhaps we're talking about some sort of an investment property, something that you can buy and maybe appreciate and then sell it perhaps, or buy and use and get rents from it and get income from it and so forth. And so a tax person will tell you, well, hey, you're going to probably incur ordinary income taxes on those rents coming in, or capital gain taxes if you buy the property and it appreciates, then you sell it. So, that's all I can tell you. I mean, the reason why you do anything, any sort of money-making venture, is I have a certain financial goal in mind, I have a certain expectation, therefore you do it. But you do it with the help of advisors and so forth that can make sure that what you intend to accomplish is exactly what's going to happen. Now, that really doesn't answer your question, but if we're talking taxes, we have to be very, very mindful of how do you report such information on your income taxes.
I was speaking basically of sheltering income through real estate investment versus IRAs, but I understand your point. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that, yes, sir. Oh, hold up. Let me get the mic over there. You got to. Man, not that I was getting out of here, man. All right, let's go. Let's go. All right.
Getting the mic is for the online audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Joseph, can you talk to us as African Americans about the fallacy of reverse mortgages?
Oh, well, now I can't. I won't make a general statement, because that's not, that wouldn't be, I don't know if that would represent the, the intent. I've dealt with those. I've had good and not so good experiences with folks that did that. What I would say is, and you said fallacy. Now, whatever fallacy means to you is not what it means to everybody else here. It can it can be, I've seen it done correctly if all of the parties involved understand what's happening, that there is some means to recapture the property once the primary owner has died or so forth. Because if done correctly, and you'll never see that on one of those commercials or whatever, but there is a way to do it, but it really requires that there's a whole lot of money and backup and insurance and something on the other end, so that when that owner who took out the mortgage and then, died, and now there's this big old mortgage that's got to be paid, otherwise they come and get the house, and now the kids and whatever don't have anything. There's a technique that I've seen that works if that homeowner had assets or insurance or something available so that the children would get, so they could then keep that property in the family. Because otherwise, if you don't, it is a recipe for disaster. I've seen that happen. And again, don't know if I answer that, but that's what I've seen in almost 20-something years of doing this.
But at the same time, there's no recourse once you sign. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a contract.
Gotcha. Right.
It's a contract.
Right.
It's just like a mortgage. And when you get a mortgage, hey, it's a mortgage. Yes, sir.
On IRA, the Roth, which I guess better for tax, the Roth or the standard IRA?
Again, good question. And so generally speaking, you have $50,000 that you invest today, and 10 years from now, that $50,000 grows to $100,000. 10 years from now, so you now have $100,000. Now, if you put that $50,000 in a traditional IRA, and 10 years later it grew to $100,000, and now you want to spend that $100,000 to buy something that you want, how much of that $100,000 is yours? How much? Just ballpark.
You have to do 10%.
No, not 10%. Probably anywhere from 65 to 70,000 of that is yours. And the other, 30,000 or 25,000 goes to, that secret partner, that silent partner that we know and love. And you get the write-off on your taxes for that year. Hey, I made $100,000 because the IRS considers the entire $100,000 taxable in the year that you take it out. But if you had that in a Roth, 10 years ago I got $50,000, put it in a Roth, it grew $100,000. Now, 10 years later, I want to spend that $100,000. How much taxes do you owe on that $100,000? Zero. How much income do you report on your tax return that year? Zero. So you tell me which is better. You tell me.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Okay.
I think there was anything on the internet. Any internet questions? No. I want to ask you one myself, and this is for the audience too. Interest rates that's went up or going
yes.
up, and so for people in here who may have to borrow at some point, we all know there's going to be 17-18%.
Right. Yeah.
What advice would you give people who right now want to borrow for a house, for a car, or need a loan for college or something like that? In the midst of the interest rate increase, what advice do you have for people?
Okay, and so I'm going to answer that question with a question. Is gas high? Is gas prices high? Now, how many people been in the military, been in Germany in this room? How many? Hey, is gas high here or is gas higher in Germany right now? Germany. I mean, and so let's put this in perspective. It might be high for us, but it's really high other places. So interest rates. Well, interest rates were like, you were losing money in the bank if you had money in the bank because, there was nothing being paid. So yes, the Fed is starting to raise rates and so forth, but it's not Armageddon. It's not the end of the world. They're going to be higher. Now, to answer your question, Pastor Johnson, now, there are some, there are considerations and there are impacts on higher rates and your payments and so forth. My advice would be, let's look at it because there are, the financial world, it's a business. It's competition. And so it does not hurt to, hey, let me compare shopping, let's look at other resources and so forth, because you still got to pay for school, you still got to live, you still have to do stuff. But let's take a look at it because it may not be as bad as the media may portray it. And so let's just look at the numbers and see, because it may not be as bad as you may think it is. So.
Well, you said we always judge the economy by how much a loaf of bread costs. And
Okay.
okay, that's always been a good gauge.
Sure.
And my mom would tell you it was 5 cents when she was a girl.
That's right.
In the
Okay.
1920s, but even that didn't go very well after the stock market crashed. But I guess my closing comment to you was that I think it's something that has been alluded to with the RAs, and from a standard to a Roth. Mm-hmm. And the increased amount that you can put into a Roth versus a standard, I think it's $6,000 or $7,000.
Yes, exactly. It's $6,000 for under 50,
right.
$7,000 for over 50.
Right. So during the Trump did the tax, redid taxes, that standard was brought lower because you could put more right before that.
Now, I will have to look because there were some decreases, but as I recall, the pace of the amount that you could increase was slowed down. The amounts have not gone down, but the rate in which one could, it was almost every few years you could up it. And it's kind of been stagnant for the last couple of years. And we think we need to index for inflation because, again, the cost of living now is higher than it was years ago, but the contribution rates have not indexed with inflation. So that's what's the difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else before we leave? Anybody else? Any questions? Going once, twice? All right, thank you. Let's give Mr. Joseph a hand for a wonderful introduction. And let's give a hand to all of our presenters in here tonight, and even Liz on the internet. Thank you all very, very much. Tomorrow night we'll conclude, but last night we'll have two wonderful guests dealing with brain health and end-of-life options. Those are our two topics for tomorrow night. We thank you those on our Facebook page and YouTube. Thank you for joining us again tonight. And if you stand to your feet, we'll give a closing prayer, and we will leave for tonight. Amen. Father God, we thank you for another opportunity to increase in knowledge, increase in wisdom. We thank you for these fine men and women who come tonight to share such great information to us to make life easier and to help us to be able to understand our situations and how we can best deal with them ourselves. Thank you for the knowledge that was brought here tonight. It's worth $1 million if we had to pay for it, but we thank you, Lord, for what you've done. And we thank you for imparting these men and women for being here and giving them the spirit of excellence that was needed to be carried out in this place tonight. We thank you for those who are here. We ask for traveling mercies as we leave this place, but never from your presence. We love you and thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Everybody say amen.